The big themes I've put in this these large coloured words, and there is inevitably some stuff around how information is communicated around gestational diabetes, that it's a very sensitive topic, but then people are wanting to have straightforward conversations. So, but there's something about that being done sensitively, so it feels like there's a real balance there, and it's all about building this relationship and rapport and trust, I guess, really. Being able to have those conversations with healthcare professionals that you've built that relationship with is really important. And there was something in there about actually, that communication is better where there is continuity of carer, so you're not seeing a different person each time that you're building that relationship. The information, there were two things around the information. So some people were saying that the information, it's having that information readily available and having all of the information there so that you know what impact that it may have and how you can do that, how you can respond to that, and that it helps you to feel prepared. And then on the other hand, there's something about this information overload. Completely overwhelmed, and it can be pretty scary, particularly if you let loose on Dr. Google and start searching things, then that can raise anxieties. So there's something about how that information is communicated and being able to ask questions about it and having space to be able to do that, and that can be quite a challenge when it feels like things are really busy and maybe you don't have time to talk about this. So there's something about that communication and the information that's shared and how to reduce anxiety whilst giving people the information that they need. There was a big thing in here around the language that's used, and that sometimes it's a bit like a foreign language. It just is, it's all alien stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. So there were some ideas that you were having around that. So to test for healthcare professionals to set yourself a rule that says, I'm never going to use any abbreviations or acronyms, and see how you get on with that. But to notice when you do that and come back and explain clearly what those abbreviations mean. So that bit, and having those explanations can really help reduce anxiety. There was stuff, so yeah, one of the examples about that was, so BP, what's that? Bus pass, blood pressure. There's a whole lot in here, particularly to start off with, that kind of, it feels like it fits with that, the stigma that can be around having diabetes. But there's something about it can be really shocking to hear that news to start off with, so there's something about how women are supported. So it's not, it feels like there's this balance between, right, okay, so here's the information that you need, but not taking any notice of the emotional impact that has, and that it feels from the conversations that you're having that the emotional impact that is there is as important as all of this factual stuff, so being able to support that. Stuff in here around choice and control, and a sense of loss. If you're given a diagnosis of gestational diabetes and you've planned to have a particular birth experience and that option is no longer available, so that and there's an experience of loss within that. So again, it's that bit of acknowledging that this is more than just giving a diagnosis. This is the emotional impact that has, and processing time and the questions that may arise from that is really important. So then there's something about how can we empower women to feel that they have control in a situation. So the place of birth might change, but what are the important things around the way in which that birth happens that we can work with? So there's something about being able to make those decisions together and work in partnership. So then, along with choice and control, there's something about how do we individualise it and recognising that there are different factors that will come into play. So stuff around diet and exercise and stress, and having all of that information. A sense of, so there's this sense of loss, but then there's also this bit of feeling a fault and to blame for the condition. So there's this bit of how do we individualise our responses that will help women to be able to take control of that and reduce that feeling of blame. So if I move on to this bit here around stigma, there's the experience can feel very isolating, and it feels like there's a cry for, I'd like to be able to talk to other people that have shared or sharing the experience that I have. So how do I make those connections? Having that conversation about this isn't your fault, this is something that's here, and these are some practical things that you can do to help manage that and maintain your state of gestational diabetes is a real is a challenge to get that balance right. There's something about a fear of judgments. So again, it comes back to the conversations that are being had and the way that communication happens. And also accepting and appreciating that in some cultures being a skinny woman is not attractive. Much wider issues that are at play than just the individuals, so taking that into account as well. So not making assumptions and being able to, and taking the conversations away just purely from the physical aspect of that. This is about your weight, and there may well be other things that come into play around that. So then there's something about the support, and there was lots of conversation about where are kitchen staff and where's their involvement. They should be here and be involved in these conversations because they have a big influence on the food that's available to women. So there's something about working in partnership again, and that there's a sense that food that isn't appropriate can sabotage women's best attempts to maintain a healthy diet, and then coming into hospital should be a place where they're able to access the food that they need. Some women say that their husband needed to go home and get food, and if they haven't been able to do that, then what would they have done in terms of food that's available to them when they're in the hospital? Around throwaway comments that really just aren't helpful, so that bit of thoughtfulness that needs to be there. So, oh, don't worry, you can eat anything you like now, you're near the end, or you're nearly there, have a biscuit. Can't help, it's not helpful if you're, again, feeling very conscious of what you're eating. In terms of labour, there was things in here about being able to make it as personal and as positive as possible, but having observations and tests actually assisted women to be more mobile in the labour ward, so that was really positive. So some positive examples there. Options that are available on labour ward. I don't know if that's actually happening and that's what people are experiencing, or if you're saying we would like you to improve those options that are available. But either way, there was something about those options that are available that changed because of the place of labour. Okay, so postnatally, so this is moving across into partnership working, but postnatally recognising the support that's available within the community, and maybe working with children's centres and health visitors and doing some more kind of joint work there with dietitians and other healthcare professionals, and promoting healthy lifestyles. Over here then was around working in partnership, and it felt like there was working in partnership with the community, so maybe working with community leaders, leaders of faith organisations, working with families as a whole unit, and maybe having an opportunity to explore healthy lifestyles generally, and not just for the woman who is pregnant, and then also working in partnership with professionals, and this shifting of balance between how can we help you, how can we do this together, what support do you need, and well, you need to do this and that and the next thing. So that is that shift of relationship that's more a two-way relationship rather than a one-sided relationship. I'm just going to come back to this bit here because I didn't mention it, and that was about access, and it was about recognising whilst some of the technology is great to be able to access lots of information, to be able to upload data and get all of that information up there, and helps with that instant, working in partnership with healthcare professionals because they can access that information immediately. To a phone, that doesn't work, and there's something about being able to access, so I don't have an Oyster card, being able to attend appointments and that kind of thing being an issue. So I think there's a bit of a challenge there for groups of women that don't have access to those facilities. And then this bit here, I've put in because it's a tongue-in-cheek bit, but it's this bit of, well, I'm eating this because my baby likes ice cream, so that's okay. And there's something about, this is about women's health, and if you're not well, then it'll have an impact on the baby. So, and that fitted in with this last post-it that was just handed to me at the last minute, that says pregnancy is not a license to eat. So there's something about that perception of and culture, I guess, around what's acceptable while you're going through your pregnancy and that maternity journey. Okay, so I've got to the other end. How does that sound? Does that feel like the conversations you've been having?